In NASCAR, many team owners are trying to get a hold of young drivers. This is something that is very common nowadays, and I kind of understand why. Hiring a young driver is less expensive compared to signing an established veteran. Most likely that established veteran is going to want a lot more money when negotiating a contract. Signing a young driver possibly means having them for the long run, that's if they perform. Obviously, bringing sponsorship plays a role as well. But it seems that team owners for the most part ignore drivers that's in their 30s. We've seen drivers in their 30s upgrade to top-notch organizations, but it's not too common. Stenhouse Jr. got signed to Hendrick Motorsports at the age of 34. Kevin Harvick signed with Stewart-Haas Racing in his very late 30s. When these two drivers were free agents, they were hot free agents, and usually that's not the case with drivers in their 30s. For the most part, they get overlooked because in the owner's eyes, it seemed like it's too late. Well, that's not the case at all. A driver usually hits their peak in their 30s. They're wiser, they're smarter, and in general, they're more mature, and with that, a driver will deliver their best effort. Throughout a driver's career, they usually win most of their races in their 30s, even though we've seen some rare exceptions like Jeff Gordon winning most of his races in his 20s, and on the opposite end of that, you had someone like Kevin Harvick winning most of his races in his 40s. Looking at today's roster of drivers across the top 3 series, there's quite a few drivers that have shown great ability behind the wheel but never been offered a true opportunity in the NASCAR Cup Series. And when I say true opportunity, I mean with a top-notch organization. So organizations like Hendrick Motorsports, Team Penske, Joe Gibbs Racing, and Stewart-Haas Racing, the most successful organizations within the past decade. In this video, I'm going to name 5 drivers that's in their 30s that I feel deserve a top-notch cup ride. These drivers ranging from all 3 series. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So first on the list, Ricky Stenhouse Jr, aka Recky Stenhouse Jr in a lot of fans' eyes, and it's unfortunate because Ricky Stenhouse is extremely underrated in my opinion. I actually believe that he's being overlooked, and I made a video a few years ago about how he's never been in top-notch equipment before, and yeah, I'm not counting Roush in the 2010s as top-notch. When Ricky Stenhouse moved up to the Cup Series to take over the 17 from Matt Kenseth, Roush was going downhill. Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards saw that, which explains why they got up out of there. For Stenhouse, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. What's interesting about Stenhouse's rookie year is that it's his second best season in his Cup career so far. He had an average finish of 18.9, and the only season where he topped that was his 2017 season, which was his breakout season where he scored 2 wins, made the playoffs, and had an average finish of 17.1. Stenhouse has shown that he could be really good when his team gives him a good car, which is rare. I look at races like Charlotte in 2020 where he finished in the top 5, Nashville where he ran top 10 all race, and recently at Dover where he finished 2nd after running top 10 all race. And as of recording this video, he has 4 straight top 10s right now. If he can get with a powerhouse organization, we can definitely see this more often from Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse's career kind of reminds me of Martin Truex Jr. so far. Truex went a good portion of his career having no success, but became a late bloomer and had a lot of success in his late 30s and early 40s. With Stenhouse, I'm sure we can see the same thing from him if Stenhouse gets a big opportunity in the future. Next up on this list is Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece has shown time and time again that when he hops in good equipment in other series, he can get the job done. He's proven this in the NASCAR Modifieds, the Truck Series, and the Xfinity Series. Unfortunately for Ryan Preece, he's never been in top tier equipment in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's driven for JTG Racing for the past few seasons and has not shown out at all. He lost his ride after the 2021 season at JTG, and he now finds himself running a part-time schedule across the top 3 series in NASCAR, but it's not all bad because even though he's part-time, he's driving good equipment in these 3 series. DGR in the Truck Series, where he proved that DGR is a good truck team by winning at Nashville and outdueling Grant Enfinger. In the Xfinity Series, he's driving for SHR, and then in the Cup Series, yeah, he's driving for Rick Rare Racing, but his cars are prepared by Stewart-Haas. If you haven't noticed, he's driving a 4 in all 3 of these series, and early in the season, the news broke that he signed to be a reserve and simulator driver for Stewart-Haas Racing. From the way it's looking, Ryan Preece can possibly end up at Stewart-Haas Racing in 2023, so I'm holding out hope that it actually becomes true, because if it does, Ryan Preece can once again show out. Third on this list is Parker Kligerman. I think out of everyone on this list, Parker has shown out the most. Parker is a journeyman driver, kind of like Michael Waltrip and Landon Castle. He's driven for many teams across the top 3 series. And all of these teams he's driven for weren't small. Back in 2011, he drove for BKR, and his first season wasn't good, but he majorly improved in 2012. He got 8 top 5s and 15 top 10s in a 22 race season and finished 5th in the points. He also scored 2 poles and had an average finish of 9.2. That same year, he got to run in the Penske 22 in the Xfinity Series and scored 2 top 10s out of his 3 starts. This is a 21-year-old Parker Kligerman we're talking about here. If Penske would have stuck with him for a little bit longer, he most likely would have been racing for them in the Cup Series today. Unfortunately for Parker, he didn't land any top rides for a while after 2012. I mean, yeah, he drove for Kyle Busch in the Xfinity Series, and you would think, well, that's top tier stuff. But KBM wasn't good in the Xfinity Series like they are in the Truck Series. Kyle Busch actually went winless in the Xfinity Series in 2012, driving for himself. Parker in 2013 got the full-time opportunity to drive for KBM and actually didn't do bad. 13 top 10s and 33 starts, 3 top 5s, and finished 9th in the standings. If Kyle Busch didn't give up on the team so damn quickly and kept Parker around, I'm pretty sure Parker would have improved by quite a bit the next year. Parker always punches above his weight no matter the car he gets in. The dude is only 31 years old and no team wants to pick him up for a full-time opportunity. I get that sponsorship plays a role, but you gotta find a way to put this dude in your car. Now, if a top team picks him up in the Xfinity and trucks, then cool, I'll definitely be happy about that. But if a top tier Cup Series team picks Parker up, I will be ecstatic. Parker is a Cup caliber driver. I remember in 2021, he drove for Gunn Brothers Racing and drove that car up into the top 20, and everyone was impressed by that. Rick, Roger, Joe, Tony, y'all are missing out on Parker Kligerman. The 4th guy on this list is Brett Moffitt. Okay, so with this one, I'm kind of cheating. As I record this video, Brett Moffitt is 29 years old, but he turns 30 in August. Plus, I couldn't really think of anyone else that's in their 30s that deserve a top tier Cup ride, so I went with Moffitt, who's about to be in his 30s. Anyway, Brett Moffitt is a wheelman. He's proven it too many times now. In 2015, he actually raced in the Cup Series for multiple teams. Front Row Racing and Michael Waltrip Racing, who, yeah, was a better team than Front Row, but was on their last legs as Michael Waltrip Racing was getting ready to shut down the team after 2015. Pretty much, Michael Waltrip Racing was a dying organization, but Brett Moffitt had a race where he stood out, and that was Atlanta finishing 6th. Actually driving up there and not having it fall into his lap. And this is impressive not only because, yeah, he finished 6th in a Cup race with a dying organization, but he finished 6th at what used to be one of the toughest racetracks on the schedule. You gotta have a lot of talent to run well in Atlanta, and Moffitt definitely showed that he has a lot of talent. He didn't have anything going on in 2016 and 2017, but in 2018, he went to go drive for Hattori Racing in the Truck Series, which at the time wasn't known as a powerhouse organization, but he came out of nowhere that season and not only won 6 races, but also won the championship. Now, you would think that team owners would be calling Moffitt up after winning the championship, right? Wrong. He was pretty much being let go even though he just won the championship. Moffitt is a guy that doesn't bring sponsorship, so Hattori Racing was looking for a guy that did. Moffitt thought he was about to be out of the sport even though he just won the championship, but luckily GMS picked him up and he continued to be a threat over there. He won races and actually almost won the championship in 2020 until a late race caution happened and his crew chief made a bad strategy call. Now, even though it was a shitty way to lose the championship, Moffitt was pretty much done with GMS. Now, I don't know if he was being let go anyway or he just chose to leave, but if it was actually his decision to leave, then it's the worst move of his career. Because if that's the case, I really wish he would have stayed, because who knows, he probably would have been tapped to drive the 42 for the Petty GMS in the Cup Series instead of Ty Dillon. It's one of those what if stories. Moffitt unfortunately finds himself driving for a mid-tier Xfinity team named Motorsports, and it just seemed like he's going to be stuck there or stuck driving for mid-tier equipment for the rest of his driving career. But I'm still holding out hope that he can get the call from a top-tier Cup team someday. The chances are low, I know, but who knows what could happen. The last driver on this list is Matt DiBenedetto. This is going to be very unpopular, I know, but hear me out before you click off the video. So I made a video on Matty D and asked the question, was Matty D really that bad at Wood Brothers Racing? Spoilers for those who didn't watch that video, I said he wasn't. Far from it. I went on to say that Matty D was the second best driver that the Wood Brothers had since the Penske Alliance in 2015. Also, he found himself inside the top 10 a lot, but would fade late in races because his crew chief Greg Irwin was bad at making the right adjustments. Also, I mentioned that the 21 car isn't a top tier ride to begin with, even with a Penske Alliance. Just because a mid to small tier team has an alliance with a big team doesn't make them an A+ team all of a sudden. Just look at JTG with the Hendrick Alliance and look at Go Fast Racing with the Stewart-Haas Alliance. It's not a complete game changer. The 21 car is not a top tier ride, and I don't understand why everyone had high expectations when Matty D took the 21. Ryan Blaney did a little bit better than Matty D when he was in the 21, and yes, I get that he won unlike Matt, but their performances weren't too far apart. Matty D is a solid driver. I wish instead of being kicked to the curb, he would have took the 2 car and Cindric would have been in the 21 instead, and we could have seen how Matt could have done with an actual Penske car. I think Matt proved that he can perform, not to mention he can take care of his equipment. In 72 starts with the Wood Brothers, he only had 3 DNFs, so we know he can take care of his equipment, and team owners can always respect that. I don't know if Matt is ever going to find his way back to the Cup Series, but if he does, I think it should be with a top-notch organization. I think he paid his dues already. His couple mistakes in 2021 is what got him driving a mid-tier truck ride right now, but I feel like he could have been another Ross Chastain story. A guy that came from nothing and paid his dues to being with a competitive Cup team, even though Trackhouse hasn't really established themselves yet, but so far they're performing like a top-tier Cup team. Anyway, I think Matty D deserves a second chance in Cup with a top-notch organization. These are 5 drivers that I feel that would have pretty decent success if they ever landed top rides. Now, who would be the most successful out of these 5? I'm going to say Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's been in Cup a lot longer than the guys I name on this list. And when he's not wrecking, he can take a Roush or a JTG car and place it in the top 5 or top 10. I feel like that he will be a 3 to 4 win per year guy and will be a yearly threat for the championship. I don't know if he'll ever seal the deal, but I'm sure a lot of people didn't see Martin Truex Jr. winning a championship. Now look at him. I think all of these guys have shown a lot of potential over the years, and in my opinion, I think they should be in top tier Cup rides. So that's my opinion on that. What are y'all thoughts on this video? Do you agree with the drivers I listed off? Is there other drivers that's in their 30s that's not in the top tier Cup ride that's being overlooked? If so, list them in the comments. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.